first time I ever went, I would not go to Israel. I was convinced if I stepped terra firma on Israel, I stepped off the plane onto the tarmac, a war would break out.
Why?
I don't know why. It's a tick.
That's more than a tick.
Yeah.
That's psychotic.
Yeah, well, thank you.
What? I mean, why you stepping off the plane?
No, not me.
Just bad timing?
Bad timing.
Well,
I wouldn't cause the war.
Oh, I see.
I would just be in the middle of it.
I thought they were like, the funds.
Hey,
it's on.
Henry's here.
Allahu Akbar, the funds.
Really?
This is the last straw.
Oh, my God.
The funds is in Israel. Now we have to get them into the sea.
Yeah.
Oh.
What about their prime minister? Are we allowed to talk about that?
Of course. You can talk about anything. That's what I love about this.
I really think that he knows if, God forbid, he steps down or the war is over, he's in jail.
I mean, that's possible, and we hear that a lot. I mean, it's interesting.
I believe it to my core.
Yeah, well, you don't know I mean, that could be the case. You don't know what's in a person's heart. Whether that's true or not, you can still be supportive of the decisions he's making, which I am.
Okay.
It's very naive, I think, that this could go any other way.
Right.
And any other country in the world would not be expected to act any differently. If you get attacked, you get to fight back. And the war doesn't end when you start fighting back, which they always want with Israel.
Things got real in this one. Bill Maher and Henry Winkler sat down and went head-to-head in a fiery exchange about one of the most complicated and emotionally charged topics out there, Middle Eastern geopolitics. And let me tell you, this wasn't just a polite chat over coffee. It was a full-blown clash of worldviews. Maher came in strong, arguing that Israel needs a long-term strategy for its defense. He wasn't holding back. He believes taking out threats, like Hamas, is a priority. But Winkler pushed back hard, bringing a deeply human perspective to the table. He talked about the lives lost, the suffering, the real cost of war that so often gets overlooked in political strategy. What made this debate so powerful wasn't just the topic, it was the tone. Maher was focused on the bigger picture, thinking long-term. Winkler, on the other hand, kept the conversation grounded in the here and now, the pain that's happening today. You could feel the tension as ideology collided with empathy. The big question that came out of this was one that doesn't have an easy answer. Can leaders afford to think beyond the battlefield, or does the urgency of right now always win out? This episode is easily one of the most compelling moments Bill Maher has had on his show. You won't see many debates like this. Genuine disagreement, passionate arguments, and two smart guys refusing to back down. It'll surprise you. It'll make you think. And trust me, you don't want to miss it. Hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and let me know in the comments where you land on this debate. Strategy or compassion, what matters most right now? Let's talk about it.
You know, when somebody...
You know what? A lot of what you're saying is true. However, I think that, there are parents, there are families that are hurting because the hostages are not.
Yes, and it's the job of a statesman and a leader and a prime minister to think long-term and not just short-term. Like, if they don't eliminate Hamas...
They're not going to eliminate Hamas. Hamas is an idea, not a group of people.
That's a bullshit thing.
It's not bullshit.
Well, let me tell you something. They've said that for years. I just read, I think, Sam Harris on this, and he said it right.
I know Sam.
Okay, great.
I like
love Sam. Great. I'm glad we both do. Yeah. And he said this thing we've heard a lot of times. You can't kill an idea. He said, well, we did after World War II.
Until now.
We did kill a lot of Japanese, and that was unfortunate.
Right.
But, I mean, if you do kill enough lunatics, and Japan was led by lunatics,
right.
Died of the last person and a lot of suicide bombing and all that. Very similar to what we see with radical Muslims.
Right.
Suicide bombing, cult of martyrdom.
Right.
Okay, so Japan became our good friend. So let's not pretend that you can't actually get to the root of this. It is difficult.
I'm not pretending.
No,
I truly believe
no,
that in
you
this
will not,
particular case,
you will not.
You don't think that all those people that are now homeless and their families are destroyed, you don't think that they are now
I think you have to make calculation.
Again?
Of course, absolutely. That is going to happen. You are also recruiting.
So you want to kill every human being?
No.
All right, so stepping back and looking at this as a neutral observer, this debate really brings out some of the biggest, most complicated questions in modern conflict. You've got morality, history, and strategy all crashing into each other, and there are no easy answers. One of the core issues here is the age-old tension between military necessity and civilian casualties. Of course, minimizing harm should always be a priority. No sane person wants innocent people caught in the crossfire. But let's be real, war is messy. Even with the best intentions, chaos tends to win out. Now, you hear people bring up historical comparisons, like what happened in Japan during World War II. And sure, those moments offer lessons, but we have to be careful. Today's conflicts are different. We're dealing with ideological warfare, asymmetrical tactics, and groups that don't play by traditional rules. It's a whole different battlefield. The bigger takeaway here is that military force can only go so far. You can take out leaders, you can hit infrastructure, but the ideas often survive. They morph, they spread, and they don't disappear just because a bomb went off. That's why long-term strategy matters. You need more than just firepower. You need a plan that tackles the root of the ideology too. This debate really shines a light on that moral and strategic tightrope leaders have to walk. Do you act decisively and risk backlash, or do you hold back and risk letting a threat grow?
Is that what I said?
No, but I think it is what you were leading to.
No, it is certainly not what I'm leading to. What I'm saying is...
If we kill enough of them, we're going to end Hamas.
I didn't say that either.
I think you did.
No, I didn't.
Okay.
You said it.
You want to play it back?
Yeah, I didn't.
I didn't say that.
I didn't say that.
I did not say if you kill enough of them, where the Hamas is
No,
over.
what I said was the idea that you can't kill an idea.
Oh, that's what I said.
Yeah. That's what I was objecting to.
Right.
And I was quoting Sam talking about the fact that
after
World War II,
we did not kill Nazism.
Yeah, we did.
Except for like a moment. It's back almost in every country.
Back in a tiny fringe.
Oh.
I mean, if you expect perfection,
I don't expect perfection.
Well, then it's a silly argument.
I believe. Well, that's not true.
Well,
but I believe that we are going to experience another Kristallnacht, and could very well experience it here.
Well, there's a lot of anti-Semitism, and that comes from people like Hamas.
Yeah, I see.
Sam Harris made a bold comparison recently, and it's one that really gets people thinking. He drew a line between efforts to dismantle Hamas today and the Allied campaign to defeat Japanese militarism in World War II. Now, whether you agree with him or not, it's a provocative lens to look through. The idea is this. Back then, the Allies used overwhelming force not just to win battles, but to crush an entire ideology. And in the case of Japan, it actually worked. The country went from being a brutal imperial power to becoming a stable, democratic ally. But that transformation didn't come cheap. It came after devastating bombings, massive casualties, and a total cultural reset. So what Harris is really getting at is this question: can ideologies be defeated through force? And if so, at what cost? The conversation doesn't stop there, though. Today's world is a lot more complicated. We're not dealing with massive nation-states fighting in open battlefields. We're dealing with asymmetrical warfare, global media coverage, decentralized ideological movements, and constant digital communication. It's a different battlefield entirely, and that's where the comparison starts to show its limits. Historical examples are valuable, no doubt, but they can also oversimplify things if we're not careful. The world has changed. The stakes, the weapons, the media, the rules of engagement, it's all evolved. What we're left with is a massive moral and strategic dilemma. Do you take decisive, possibly brutal action to eliminate a threat? Or do you risk that same threat growing because you held back for ethical reasons?
So, I mean, again, when you're a leader, you have to think long term.
Right.
If you don't know, they've prosecuted this war for 11 months, as we're recording this in September
Right.
of 2024. So they're at the final stage. They're in the South. Yes, there are probably still, I don't know, 80, 90 hostages left.
Right, 100.
It's horrible to think
Right.
of the situation they've been in, and if we can't get
So
them
in
out.
other words-
Again, if I could just finish.
Yes, go right ahead.
You have to think in terms of long-term and numbers. Like those 100 people, we wouldn't want anyone to die, but what if we let Hamas off the hook? Do you know what's going on really underneath Gaza in all the tunnels and how close they are?
I do not know.
I don't either. But you know who does know? The Israeli Defense Force. Now, are they perfect? Absolutely not. But again, they're not the ones purposely killing civilians. They try not to kill civilians. If you can't understand that difference morally, then you're very morally confused.
Are you watching the same footage I'm watching?
You think they are trying to kill civilians?
I think that it is indiscriminate.
That's what war is.
Okay.
War becomes that. There is no war you can name that didn't. Sherman burned Atlanta to the ground, and it wasn't just the military people he was killing. It's a shame, but again, there's a very simple solution to this. Stop attacking Israel.
This debate dives deep into the moral complexities of war, and it really brings out the emotional and ethical challenges that come with conflicts like the one involving Israel. On one side, you've got the argument that Israel is doing what it can to minimize civilian casualties, and that this shows a genuine effort to fight ethically. Supporters of this view point to the chaos of war and say that while it's never clean or simple, a country still has the right to defend itself. On the flip side, there's a much more critical perspective. This side questions the morality of Israel's leadership and the justification behind its actions. They argue that the toll on civilians is far too high, and that the long-term consequences of these policies need a much deeper look. It's not just about who's right in the moment, it's about what kind of future these decisions are shaping. What this back and forth really highlights is how hard it is to balance military necessity with moral accountability. When a nation feels like it's facing an existential threat, how does it stay grounded in ethics? How do you make the right call when every option comes with a cost? That's the tension at the heart of all this. And the truth is, there aren't easy answers. But these are the kinds of conversations we need to have if we want to understand what's really at stake. Thanks for tuning in and being part of this important discussion. If you found this content thought-provoking, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives and real talk on the issues that matter. Your support helps us keep these conversations going. See you in the next video.